I wrote The End of Thinking because, first of all, I'm a thinker, but I contend that everybody's a thinker, that we've all got to make decisions, we've all got to form opinions, we've all got to pick from options. It's pretty hard to go through life without using your brain. And yet we seem to assume that we're all thinking really well. Like thinking's like breathing. It's a skill you learn once and then you never have to revisit it again. But what if we actually reflected upon our thinking? If we had to think about our thinking? I love to sit in cafes with a coffee and write. And whenever you're in a cafe, you always find people having conversations about any and every topic. It could be they're talking about vaccines, it could be they're talking about the environment, it could be talking about how they're going to parent their kids. And people are always sharing these ideas, but we would be a better influence on one another if we learnt how to think better. Because thinking's not just for ourselves, it's also about thinking how we can influence others, how we might serve others with our thinking. So for example, if you've got an opinion on how best to parent kids, it might be a good idea to have actually thought pretty hard about that before you send someone off to do everything that you've thought on the basis of 5 minutes of thinking. Or if you've got a great idea about vaccines, it might be that you want to have read more than one article on that. The first assumption we need to know about our thinking is that we don't know very much. Take me, for example. On a few topics, I'm sort of an expert. On a few more topics, I know a little bit, but on most topics in this world, I know very little. I need other people. I need their minds. I need their brains. And without their brains, I'm not going to know anything. My first posture when I'm talking to someone is to assume I probably have something to learn from this person. That doesn't mean I have to agree with everything they say, but it does mean that if they do say something that genuinely helps me and expands my thinking, I'm ready for it. So I'm hoping this book will actually help you become a better person, which sounds pretty grandiose to begin with, because I could just say that I hope it helps you become a better thinker. But that would be to kind of prioritize the idea that all I want you to do is know more or have more information. But what use is being really intelligent if you end up becoming a horrible human being? We all know people who are really smart, but they're arrogant, they're horrible to be around, and they're impossible to benefit from. But what if we learned how to use all of the thinking that we do in ways that are helpful to other people? And actually, we could not only help ourselves by the way that we think, but that we could help others. So my hope is you become a better person because you become a better thinker. What makes me an expert in thinking is that I'm an expert in failing at thinking. So pretty much the book is all of the records of the ways that I've failed at doing this very well and the reasons that I've learnt how to think better as a result. I'm not an expert in thinking, I don't know it all. In fact, the whole point of the book is actually to point out that we too easily think we're expert in something, but we need to learn to be humble. We need to learn that we've got so much more to know. So as a result, I'm not trying to proclaim to you that I know everything about thinking, but what I do know is how easily I can fail at it, and I also know that I can get better at it. And that's what I'm hoping that you'll experience as you read the book. If you're a human being and you use your brain, that's who I wrote it for. So I didn't write it for academics, I didn't write it for people who are teachers, I wrote it for everyone because everybody uses their brain. Whether you're the average parent trying to make the best decisions for your family, whether you're someone trying to make the best decisions in the boardroom or the staff room, any place where you've got to use your brain and think hard, this is going to help you. Because we're all thinkers in every environment that we inhabit, and therefore we can all benefit from learning how to think better. Lots of us think that because we don't have a platform or we don't have a podcast or we don't speak to large audiences, that we can't be an influencer, that we don't make a difference. But actually there's a book called Connected by two scholars called Christakis and Flower, which talk about the fact that if we influence our friends and they influence their friends, then we can have this powerful impact upon the world that we don't realize. And so one of the things that I'm trying to advocate for is the fact that we don't realize the power of the one conversation or the one life that we might transform by our thinking. It reminds me of a story that's often told of an old man who comes across a young boy on a beach. And on that beach are thousands upon thousands of starfish that have been washed ashore. And that young boy is throwing one at a time all those starfish that he can grab back into the sea. And the old man comes up to the young boy and he says to him, "What are you doing? All this stuff that you're doing here makes no difference. One at a time is not going to cover all of the starfish on this beach." And the young boy responds to the old man by picking up one more starfish, throwing it into the sea, turning to him and saying, "It made a difference to that one." And so this book is about transforming that one conversation, or those 3 conversations, or those 4 conversations, because as they build up, you might just change the world.